Here.
Committeeman Maza.
Here.
Mr. Gallick.
Here.
Mr. Toth.
Here.
Mr. Lindner.
Here.
Mr. Bubianka.
Here.
Mr. Argiro.
Here.
Mr. Scuderi.
Here.
Mr. Esposito.
Here.
Mr. Lippert.
Here.
Mr. Dwyer.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting was posted on January 11, 2023, the Township Bulletin Board and sent to the Township Clerk, Echo Sentinel, the Courier News for the Open Public Meetings Act. All board members are duly appointed volunteers working for the good and welfare of Warren Township. We plan to adjourn no later than 10 p.m. We have minutes to approve from June 26th.
I'll make a motion.
There you have a second.
I'll make the second.
Any modifications, care, concerns on those minutes? Hearing none. All in favor of approving those minutes, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Ayes have it. Okay, reports. Steve.
No report.
No report.
No report. Wow. Love it. Open up this hearing to the non-agenda items. Anyone wishing to come forward on non-agenda items?
Shelley Molnar, 3 Stoningham Drive. I have questions about the master plan. I understand that we have allocated $125,000 for a re-examination, and I'm wondering what the timeline is for completion of the master plan.
Master plan right now is just starting,
Okay.
and it can go as long as it needs to go. It could be several months, it could be several years. It just depends on when the work gets done. It's a fairly arduous process that requires a lot of work and a lot of communication to the public and back and forth. So it's a fairly, and it becomes even more difficult with the new regulations.
Well, I'm glad to hear communication with the public, because that was my next question.
Oh, great.
Whether the public will be involved with the formulation of the master plan.
Oh yeah, always. By
Okay.
lots and lots of public hearings and all sorts of potential surveys.
Okay. And then in the scope of services that Mr. Chadwick put together, it talks about the master plan would list the major problems and objectives in the municipality at the time of the adoption of the last re-examination report. It wasn't clear when that was. Was that 2015?
When was the last re-examination?
The last re-exam was 2017. There was the most comprehensive was 2015. 2017 brought up certain elements that had been amended subsequent to 2015.
Okay. I would like to point out that if people are really interested in learning more about the master plan, the website is not very helpful. So if you do a search on the township website and you ask for master plan, what comes up is the one that was done, and the census for 2000 was not completed, so it's like 2000 and maybe in the 1990s, but it's an old report, and so the indexing is not very helpful.
There was a background study that was provided to the township that had 2010 census data in it, for sure.
Well, I did a screen print of the.
I'm just telling you,
Yes,
so-
and I'm sure there was, but the problem is if somebody is interested in learning, it's very difficult because these are not listed in chronological order. So if you go back to the plan that, master plan, it's the 2000 census data was not available for that. And then there are things like there's the 2022.
Are you talking about the search on
I'm
the
talking
website?
about, if you go to the website and you're looking at master plan documents, this is
Okay.
what you see.
All right. So the good news is, it's gonna get updated because it's gonna get examined. So you're gonna see all sorts of new updates.
Well, that's very good.
Yeah.
And also too, there were an awful lot of recommendations from the 2015, and I'm wondering whether any of those were adopted. It seems like it's done, it's put up there, but then there's no follow-up.
So the master plan procedure is, we go through lots of discussions, and just because it was part of the research doesn't mean that actually made into the master plan, depending on what the hearings came forward back. And then, when the master plan is done, it actually doesn't even mean anything until it's codified by the township committee. So even the passing of such a document doesn't hold any relevance until it's actually adopted as an ordinance. So, and that requires, the ordinance requires hearings and then votes on those hearings. So it's a fairly long process.
Okay. So
And with lots of input, so it doesn't necessarily mean everything is verbatim in the ordinance.
Okay. It was very helpful when we had that session with the downtown plan, so I'm
Okay.
pleased to hear that you're gonna be doing the same thing with the master plan, because I think a lot of people are very interested.
Yeah, no, first off, we want as many people to know about the master plan and to have input as possible, number one. Number two, that is a very formal structure, whereas the downtown was informal. I don't think it'll be that informal, I think it'll be more formal. And it's fairly arduous in its technicality, because it has to comply with New Jersey state law, which got a lot more complicated. So that's, you're gonna see that.
Okay, and, just a suggestion, the social media person is doing an excellent job telling us about things like, chair yoga, the concerts, et cetera. And I think that a lot of people would really appreciate it if the social media person also told us, use that vehicle to tell us about things that are as important, so.
Okay, great, thank you. Any other members of the public wishing to speak on non-agenda items? Seeing none, we'll close this portion of the meeting. Of course, there's no correspondence to discuss. We have note. Do you have a resolution, don't we have a resolution for an extension?
Yes.
Yeah, that's, well, WNEC is on, it's listed under the hearings on the agenda for some reason.
Yeah, that's not correct. That should be moved.
Well, you didn't discuss it at the last meeting, you pushed it off till this meeting.
No, wasn't there an extension
Jayhawk.
from, on Roseland?